Hey, welcome to Iron, and this
is the unscripted version of Iron to Iron.
Which is actually a really scary thing. Every time we do this, I get kind of like a little nervous.
Butterflies?
I do.
Like before the big game?
Well, because we don't know what we're getting into.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, it's one thing when you come, you got something planned and prepped, but when you pull something out of this and we don't know what it is.
Still.
Dude, it's just...
well, there are some people that might not have understood what we did. They haven't seen it before, so why don't you explain it?
Okay, so when we started this a while back, we had our wives write about a whole bunch of little ideas, topics for us to work on for things like this that we would not know what the topic is. So right now, when we pull this out, we have zero clue what topic is that we're going to be doing.
Now, the first time we did this, we just launched into a discussion, a chat, where you vicariously get to participate by listening into our working through it, right?
Right.
It wasn't bad. I mean, there was still a lot of fun, but we didn't have any time to prepare, and we thought it would be best if we had about 5 minutes to really look into something to give us, a foundation, a starting point.
And we did that with the covenant teaching.
We did, which, by the way,
I thought
Steve,
it wasn't bad.
No, I don't. What are we going to say? It was bad? We're going to say it was...
It was great.
It was really, really interesting. Deep. It wasn't as deep as it could be. And we actually had a listener that said, you guys ought to come back now that you've been able to reflect on it. Mm-hmm. Because, we started talking, and then afterwards, after recording, we go, oh, I should have said this. I wish I would have said that.
I did that a lot.
Yep, me too.
Yeah.
Me too.
So on most of these, we will probably be coming back on the unscripted with the scripted part to the unscripted teaching. Does that make sense?
Right. Return of unscripted.
There we go.
Yeah.
But it's scripted.
Right. You can see how confused we get. Okay. We feel sorry for you.
you can pull it out.
Oh, I get to pull it out.
Yeah.
Drum roll, please.
Yeah, they're all tangled together.
Okay, we can't look at those. Okay, the one, looking. I'm just going to use with it.
Looking.
Okay.
Okay, did we get one? Okay.
Ooh. Oh, man.
No.
Steve. Understanding.
Oh, dog.
Understanding.
Okay, understanding.
That's broad.
That's very broad.
Understanding. Oh,
I know where I'm going.
I got all sorts of ideas around it. This is
Okay,
going to be fun. So.
5 minutes.
5 minutes. We'll be back.
All right. We're back. And that was the quickest 5 minutes of my life. Okay, so where do we start?
It was fine.
Because you're just so smart.
No. It's there's a whole thing. This is way off topic.
Okay.
But people don't like boredom anymore, do they? We have to have every minute filled with information, with looking at our personal devices. He just hit the exact thing I was going to say. How'd you know?
Serious?
You're reading my mind. People have to embrace boredom. And so by doing so, everything doesn't flash by our eyes. Try that. A doctor's office, you go in and you have to wait forever.
Right.
Well, that time drags. You go, no, what do I do? If you put your phone down.
Right.
If you don't read a magazine.
Right.
Okay, so same thing here. I'm just really slow.
Mm-hmm.
And I sat there kind of like this. And time just dragged by. Of course, I didn't get anything.
Hit pause, back up a little bit, and freeze frame his...
Oh, thanks.
Okay, here where are we at?
All right, so let's get serious.
I want to start. I would like to make a statement that would be kind of like controversial.
Ooh.
Misunderstanding. It could be said originated by Yahweh.
Well, that's not controversial. I agree.
You do?
I do agree. Yep.
Okay.
So
why do you agree?
Okay. If there were no misunderstandings, I view that as if there were no bad and good, because a misunderstanding is bad. And if Yahweh didn't create that, we'd have no choice. And if we had no choice, we'd be robots, and this whole thing wouldn't work.
Yeah, but misunderstanding. I mean, why would he create misunderstanding?
For the same reason he created Mr. Understanding. No,
let me read a verse. Let's
read a verse, okay. What do you got?
And I realize this can be, I may be stretching it a little bit. But here we go. Okay. Genesis chapter 11, verse 7. Ooh. Come, let us go down and confuse their language so they will not understand each other. Now, granted, I understand misunderstanding could have happened between people and different things, but this is where we see Yahweh purposefully going in and causing misunderstanding, total confusion, to separate people. You know what I'm saying?
He is, see if you agree with this.
Okay.
He divides to bring together.
Yes.
He provides darkness so that there is a light. I mean, darkness is the absence of light, right?
Correct.
Okay. He works in these opposites to us. He adds or subtracts to add. Okay. He causes us some discomfort at times so that we become what we should become.
Correct.
Now, that word in Hebrew that you saw in Genesis 11:7, you know what word that is in Hebrew?
No.
Shema.
Shema.
Which also means to hear.
Yes, to hear and obey.
There you go. And that obey part comes in the Hebraic understanding, doesn't
Correct.
it? Because in our English, Greco-Roman, Western thought pattern, it's, well, I hear the little sound waves go into my ear, and that's hearing. But no, in the Hebrew, what's the Hebrew? I can tell you heard by observing your actions.
Yes.
So understanding and actions, how does that work together?
Always go together.
Does it?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Faith and actions are always going to be. And I think I know we're kind of veering here a little bit, but
I don't think so.
faith is not just what you believe. Faith is what you do. Because if you don't believe in it, then you won't do it. So if you believe in it, then you do it.
Depends on your motivation.
True.
Okay. So if
Faith
you're
without
purely
works.
if you're purely motivated,
True.
then I think that would resonate. That would be the case. Okay, so that's 11:7, and I think the first use of Shema, if we could go there, is
Okay.
Bereshit or Genesis 3:8. And what's happening in 3:8, Steve?
It says here, the man and his wife heard the sound of Yahweh, God, as he was walking through the garden in the cool of the day. And they hid from Yahweh among the trees of the garden. But Yahweh called to the man, where are you? We just read this yesterday, my family and I.
Did you really?
Yeah.
Interesting. So they heard Yahweh Eloheinu. They heard him.
Mm-hmm.
There's an interesting thing. Boy, this could get us far afield, but you know, it's all about understanding.
Right.
Because, I mean, think about it. What is understanding? I mean, define understanding. I'm
Well,
sorry,
that's
let's
the
put a
question.
pause here.
That's the question. We're discussing it.
Well,
So-
how do you
Well, okay, give us a
define it?
definition. I can see what you're doing.
Yeah, you can see where I'm going there.
No, literally, I can see where you're
You
going.
can see where I'm going. Oxford defines it as the ability to understand something. Wait a minute, you can't use the word in the word to define it.
True
That's
that.
not fair.
That's true.
Comprehension. That's a little better.
Why would they put the definition in a word of the def?
That's really silly.
Yeah.
Oxford, what are you thinking?
That's
Okay,
like-
well, let's look at a different one.
That's English 101. You don't do something.
It
like
is, yeah. That was a
phone's
negative
full.
101.
I'm gonna say, yeah. Okay.
So mental grasp, comprehension, the power of comprehending, especially the capacity to apprehend general relations of particulars. Right over my head on that one. The power to make experience intelligible by applying concepts, categories, abstracts, etc.
Right.
Okay, so you're bringing together disparate pieces of input and forming an idea that's going to, as we Shema, direct my behaviors. That's understanding. So they heard, so go back to Genesis, in the cool, in the ruach of the day. I think that's extremely significant. They're walking with him in the Spirit. If we don't have the Spirit, are we going to have understanding? Or if we have understanding, where's that understanding coming from?
Right.
So now we got to tie those two together, I believe.
Yeah. Okay, go.
Well, you got all the brain power.
Yeah,
you just
I
told me
know,
earlier
right?
I've got it slow.
That's
You're
so
going to
funny.
pause the video and I'm going to look like a moron, which is true. So that's perfect. What do I know? I know nothing.
I know. The
Okay.
Schultz from
Oh, yeah.
what was that TV
Hogan's
show?
Heroes.
Hogan's Heroes. Yep, that's funny.
That wasn't before your time?
No, I watched it. I watch that bad boy all the time. TV is not what it used to be. That's why we don't watch TV anymore.
Yeah, I got it turned off too.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
So,
spirit and understanding.
You know, it's funny. I'm going to go there here with Jethro. This is when Jethro was talking to Moses.
Are we on TV still? Is that the Clampetts, the Beverly Hillbillies, Jethro? Is that, no, this
Okay,
is,
okay.
We're back in the Bible.
We're
Okay,
back in the
got
Bible.
it, got it.
Right. That's kind of funny. Deuteronomy 1:13. Jethro's talking to Moses. And he says, choose some wise, understanding, and respectable men from each of your tribes, and I will set them over you. And then verse 14, you answered me, what you propose is good. Okay, so, and this is where he starts getting these wise people to lead the people so Moses is not getting worn out, which is wisdom in itself, I think, is understanding. But what I'm looking at is that means to me this is something we should pursue. Understanding. Okay. And I know the common response will, Steve, that's silly. Of course you want understanding. No. A lot of people don't want understanding. They like being fed. They like being told what to do. I don't want to put any responsibility on me. You just tell me what to do and then I'll do it, type thing. And that's everywhere. You know what I'm saying? They don't want that understanding. They just want to be told what to do. When this is showing, this is something we should desire, to have understanding, to grow in the Word, to grow and with our relationship, if you will. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I do.
Okay.
I do. Makes me think of, I'm going to back up to what you're saying, wisdom and understanding. Would you say that knowledge plus the understanding of that knowledge is wisdom? I'm not equating wisdom and understanding. Say that one
more time just to make sure I'm following you.
The knowledge.
You have knowledge.
I read something in Torah. Hey, I'm supposed to be like this or not like something else. Okay, now I've got the knowledge. I understand that applies to me in my life, and I'm supposed to do it because the creator of the universe said I should do it.
Right.
I don't find anything else that says I shouldn't, no matter what anybody else tells me.
Right.
And that's wisdom.
Yes. My definition of wisdom has always been, it's the knowledge of knowing how to use knowledge.
Okay, there you go. So I would phrase that in our context here of we have the understanding of that knowledge, and then that use becomes wisdom.
Correct.
So then understanding isn't necessarily yet wisdom if we don't put it into use, is it?
Say it one more time.
Well, I'm just thinking if there's another step after understanding, if this is even true, knowledge plus the understanding of that knowledge and what we're to do with it equals wisdom. Well, if I don't get to the wisdom point, what does my life look like? Because we've just demonstrated that understanding is hearing also. It's Shema.
Well, correct.
Which is in itself behavior.
Very much so.
So then how does that make it different from wisdom? I'm just thinking we need to define that so we aren't confusing or
right. Well, I think in order to move forward in wisdom, there's an understanding that has to be brought forth. You have to have the understanding if you're going to walk in wisdom. There's no way to walk in wisdom without understanding. Does that make sense? So back to the element of knowledge, it's like, I think maybe there's a bridge between that knowledge. Well, it is. It's back to that knowledge of how to use knowledge. I think that kind of goes in with wisdom, the understanding. Because you can have knowledge, but if you don't know what to do with it, you don't have the understanding of what to do with that knowledge.
Okay, let me say something here before I lose it.
Okay.
Because I'm old and I forget real easy. Could wisdom be, I'm just going to posit the question, could wisdom be the ability then to now communicate that to others, and wisdom becomes, I fear Yah, because that is the beginning of wisdom, right? True. He says in Proverbs, right?
Yes, Proverbs.
So then that fear is reverence. So I reverence the understanding of the knowledge I have. I make it important in my life, and now I'm going to help you understand it. If you're interested, or we run into the situation, or if the Spirit brings a divine appointment.
True.
Could that be a portion or a part of what that next level of understanding is?
I would think. I'm going to throw a wrench into all of this right now. With what we just said, it makes it sound like, okay, understanding, we got to have it. Okay, and we do. But understanding is not the end-all, be-all.
Correct.
And let me give you a verse.
Okay.
This is 1 Kings 4:29. God gave Solomon wisdom and very great insight and a breadth of understanding as measureless as the sand of the seashore. Goodness. I mean, here we are talking about, we got to have this. Yeah. And here Solomon had it.
Well, and he was almost perfect, right? He did everything right, and he failed.
And then he failed.
Why? Did he not have wisdom? Because it says right there,
it's pure disobedience. When you read his life, he knew what to do.
I know, that's so frustrating.
I know. I'm going, what's wrong with you?
Buddy?
I mean, the dude had so much understanding. It's like, oh, man, to have even half the knowledge that he had. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But, and okay.
Okay. Well, let's stop there for a second because
Okay.
maybe we can start to define what understanding also isn't.
Okay.
It isn't obedience or disobedience, evidently.
True.
Because he still disobeyed.
Right.
But he had understanding and he had wisdom.
Yeah.
So that's a separate element. But doesn't it take understanding and wisdom
To actually to have the obedience, but you can still choose to not walk in it.
Yeah, to understand the obedience, to know that there is a choice rather than just go where the flesh is.
Right.
Oh, Solomon.
Man,
Poor Shlomo.
well, it's it goes into that statement that I've heard before, and absolute power.
Oh, corrupts
Absolutely. Yeah, and so with that in mind. So it's like, here's Solomon. He had the absolute understanding, wisdom. Is there something that we can't handle? Because he had it, and was it something that he couldn't handle?
Absolute understanding corrupts. Absolutely.
But see, the thing is, even as I say that, I'm going, but Yahweh wouldn't give him something to make him fall.
Wouldn't he?
I wouldn't think so.
Wait.
Not of saying, I'm going to bless you with understanding and knowledge, and oh, by the way, it's going to be a curse for you, knowing it's going to be. Now we know, I guess.
I know.
Yahweh knew what he was going to do, but I struggle thinking that's what made him fall. I mean, think of it this way: look, when the Israelites came out of Egypt. What were they given? They were given all these earrings and gold and bracelets and all this stuff, and then they're being blessed. I mean, oh my goodness gracious, the Jews or the Egyptians are just throwing it at them. Get out of here. You know what I'm saying? But then what do we find them doing with all that gold? They make the golden calf. So, I mean, it's like they're blessed, and then that blessing, they turn that blessing into a curse. And then a curse against Yahweh. And so here we see Solomon. He has all this wisdom, all this understanding and knowledge, and yet he still chooses to not follow and obey.
Did he ask for that understanding?
Didn't he?
I thought he did.
Yeah, because it was whenever they're dedicating the temple. And then that's when he prays, I am not, you're all these people, I can't do this. And then Yahweh says, because you asked for this, instead of a whole bunch of more gold or whatever type stuff, that's when he blesses him. So he did ask for it.
So let me ask you this question in follow-up. Did Israel ask for a king?
Yeah.
Was that a good thing?
Well, Yahweh didn't like it.
He said, this is good, Tov. He says it's good.
Okay, but then what's the part where I'm trying to remember?
Why?
Well, we know it's going to be representative of Yeshua in the future. But my thing is, why was Yahweh mad when they asked for the king?
He was mad, and then he says it's good.
Okay,
so why would he say it's good?
That.
No, you're absolutely right.
Okay.
From what I remember. Does he give us what we ask for, knowing that perhaps that's our weakness or a portion of our weakness to work us through it? Give me money, give me whatever.
Right.
Because
or whatever.
Because he knows us better than we know ourselves.
Right.
So is that one of his ways to utilize what we think we need? Israel thought they needed a king.
Well, they want to be like the nations.
Yeah.
They even said that.
Yeah, exactly.
So I mean,
and by the way, this king, he's going to do this stuff to you, and you're going to be unhappy, but it's good.
Right.
Wait a minute. Why is it good?
Wait. It's going to be bad, but it's good.
Yeah, exactly. It's good because you're going to learn something out of it. So maybe that's part of what Solomon
had to learn.
He had to learn that. Because certainly he understood the words of Torah. Certainly he understood and knew where he was headed with getting more horses and wives, all that stuff. Yah didn't want him to do that.
No.
But that was evidently a weakness for him.
And that he grew in more wisdom.
Oh, yeah.
Because I know it's a controversial topic.
It is.
But I do believe that he turned, by the way, by the end of his life. And now, for what it's also worth, I also see Solomon. I know some people would be not like hearing this, but Solomon is really a type of an antichrist, if you look at it. In fact, if you look into it, the amount of gold he had, it was 666 something. I forgot what it was. There's so many things. If you start looking at parallels of how he can equal to the antichrist, it's like jaw dropping. But yet, I still think with that, I think Yahweh brought him back. And now, can I prove it? No. But that's just kind of where I'm at today. So
Could be different 5 minutes from now.
maybe.
Well,
Depending
okay.
what you have to say.
Well, so let's take what we just said there and look at what attributes understanding includes. And I don't know if you've got this one, but look at Yaakov or James
Okay.
3:13.
I got it.
Do you really?
Uh-huh.
Who is wise and understanding among you? Let him show by his good behavior his works in meekness and wisdom.
Mm-hmm.
But if you have a bitter jealousy and self-seeking in your hearts, do not boast against and lie against the truth.
Ah.
So we know we got a comparison going on here, right?
Right.
So meekness works in meekness of wisdom.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh, wisdom. It's not just being meek, because that's not humility. I mean, look at Moshe. Moshe was a very humble man, right?
Right.
But he led armies. So he was not meek by any stretch.
Right.
But he was humble. He had humility.
Mm-hmm.
And this is not that kind of meekness from what I see, and not digging into the Greek, but meekness of wisdom. Meaning
Correct.
what?
Well, I had a different thought, so go
Okay.
ahead.
No.
No. I'm just when I'm looking at this, I'm going back to the verse of 3:3. As I read it, it's going over and over in my head.
Okay.
Where it says, who is wise and understanding among you? The next thing it says, let him show it by his good life.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And that's where you're going is, and I know,
Shema.
but, yeah, and it's so okay. I maybe take us down a bunny trail here. We're not called to convince people of our view.
I agree.
Okay, we're called to walk it in love.
Mm-hmm.
In other words, don't try to force your understanding on others.
Mm-hmm.
And then this goes into this verse as I'm reading it. It's like, okay, who is wise and understanding among you? Let him show it by his good life, and deeds done in humility that comes from wisdom.
Mm-hmm.
It's so funny. I see people, and I know their passion, and I value that passion.
Mm-hmm.
But sometimes they don't know when enough is enough type thing.
Yeah.
And they want to force their understanding on you so much that they will not stop until they hear their opinion coming out of your mouth.
Yeah.
And it pushes so many people away.
It really does.
It does. And and I'm not belittling them at all, because even if I disagree with them,
Mm-hmm.
you see they're still wise. They've got a great foundation in the scriptures, and yet we may differ here and there or whatever, but they don't realize how much more damage they're doing by trying to force their understanding.
That's not meekness.
No.
Which, if you go on to 14 and 15
Okay?
of James 3, but if you have bitter jealousy and self-seeking in your hearts, do not boast against and lie against the truth. This is not the wisdom coming down from above, but it is earthly, unspiritual, demonic.
Ouch.
Oh, that hurts.
Read that again.
Yes. But if you have bitter jealousy and self-seeking in your hearts, do not boast against and lie against the truth. This is not the wisdom coming down from above, but it is earthly, unspiritual, demonic.
Boasting.
Just boasting. So you're puffed up.
Mm-hmm.
Steve, let me tell you what to believe. Rather than, hey, brother, let's have a conversation. I'm interested because, I might be wrong.
Right.
Humility, right? What do I know?
With you saying that right there, even Yahweh in it's Isaiah chapter 2, come, let us reason together.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, he's not even saying, you're wrong, let me show you.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's like, dude, why can't we follow that example?
Mm-hmm. Okay, so we're talking about wisdom here, though. So has it skipped us off of understanding?
I think it goes back to you have to have the understanding to walk in the wisdom, don't you think?
Okay, so then I have to read this verse, understand the words, and I may not have the understanding at first.
Mm-hmm.
I may just read the English and maybe get off on a tangent because I'm relying on some translator.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, I get a little bit more information and somebody tells me, hey, there's a concordance. Oh, I'm going to look up the Strong's number. So now I'm going to dig into the Greek. And I go, oh, that's interesting. And then maybe I talk to somebody else that says, there's some different views of understanding in these other verses. Oh, thank you. So now I pull those up. And, oh, by the way, here's the law of first mention. So now I can go there. And did you know that there's a Hebrew equivalent? And let's see how it's used through all of Scripture. Now that changes my understanding. But I have to wrestle with that.
You got to grow in it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and that goes back into the one of my closing verses I have. It's Philippians 4:7. And the peace of God, which transcends all understanding, will guard your hearts and your minds in Christ Jesus, Yeshua Messiah. And so it's like, I know when we don't have the answer to something, it's intimidating. You feel like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I don't understand this.
I'm embarrassed. I feel foolish.
Or if you got the scripture right in front of you, you're not understanding it, type thing. And it can be very intimidating. But we are to walk in that peace of Him that He gives us, and pray He gives us the understanding in due time. And I had a really cool thought, and I just lost it.
Well, while you're rethinking it, and interrupt me right in the middle if you remember.
Okay, I will.
Turn to 1 Timothy 6:3, please.
1 Timothy.
Yes. If anyone teaches differently and does not agree to the sound words, those of our Master Yeshua Mashiach, and to the teaching which is according to reverence, he's puffed up, understanding none at all, but is sick about questionings and verbal battles, from which come envy, strife, slander, wicked suspicions, worthless disputes of men of corrupt minds and deprived of the truth, who think that reverence is a means of gain. Withdraw from such.
Okay, let's leave that verse on screen right now.
Okay.
Because this is stinking huge. I mean, really.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, this is something, and remember, this is Paul talking to Timothy, and he's given the instructions of what is really needed. And the sad part is, I don't see this being followed in a lot of believers today.
Okay, explain what you mean.
I've just seen so many people who are so conceited with the knowledge that the Father has given them, that they think the Father has given them. And again, I'm not saying that knowledge is wrong, but the problem is the presentation. When we do something, you should have the heart of a servant. Matter of fact, I'm reminded right now, and I can't remember where it's at, but Yeshua says that when we've done all that we're told to do, we should simply say, we are worthless servants. We've only done what we've been told to do. That's it. And whatever you're able to do, the wisdom you've been given, the knowledge you have, the strength of your body, you name it, it came from Him. Nothing you can do is... I say this many times wherever I go when I go speaking. And my phrase is this: if you see me do something good, I promise you that's Yahweh. You see me do something bad, I promise you that's Steve. There's nothing good in us.
That's the same phrase I use.
Really?
Yeah.
Where'd you get it from?
If there's nothing good in me, it's all Steve.
Bottom line is, there's nothing good in us. If whatever's good in us, it's from Him.
It is.
And we can't take credit. Who can take credit for anything?
You know what? We glom onto it like we do our possessions in the world. This is my house, my phone, my blah, blah, blah.
This is my wisdom. I found this.
My understanding. Yeah. We kind of become the Gnostics. You know, it's the knowledge and the secret knowledge. And we get wrapped into
get me started.
Knowing. Okay. I withdraw my question.
No, keep going.
But it is. We don't realize everything. Even we are His. My body, my spirit, my soul. If that's how I approach my life from an eternal perspective and everything is His, that should really change what I do, how I shema, and understand in there. Now, if you don't mind me, I'd like to back up to something earlier you said.
Sure.
You were saying that, let's see, understanding, darn it. Now I did it, so we're equal. But it was.
You're turning red.
Am I? I thought it was the sun. And I didn't even go out on the BMX track today. Well, I think there's that understanding where, I know, it was I'm really close, but I can remember my aspect of it, and yours, not yours, unfortunately. But
okay.
That's how important it was. No, not at all. Understanding. When I come into understanding, when Torah was first new to you, did you have a little bit of passion? Were you a little bit excited?
Big time.
And then when you do, instead of being, I've got the knowledge, it's like, I can't wait to tell you. And then people get fire hosed.
Yes.
You know, you become Torah terrorists, right?
Unintentionally,
but that's still a presentation issue.
Yes.
So we got two different kinds of presentation issues there.
Yep. One is out of a passion of excitement. Look what I found.
Yeah.
Versus, look what I found.
Look what I found. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes, I do. So is there another, I'm thinking there's another presentation issue with our understanding. And that is, I spend a lot of time studying. I really feel like Yah's Spirit, the Ruach, has talked to me about something. I find some comparisons, and then when we're in a topic and we're talking amongst ourselves, or midrash, or maybe we're having coffee, and that topic comes up, I don't say anything for some reason because I want to be humble and I don't want to share. And I think there's that aspect where we aren't bold enough sometimes, or in a group we get embarrassed. It's like, well, that was a really great question. I don't usually ask questions, so I shouldn't really put my hand up.
Right.
And a good facilitator will draw those people out if they're interested. They'll see that glimmer, that quickening,
right,
to help people say that, because I think there's another perceptual, not error, but a lack, that if you have some understanding, even if you don't think you know what you know, but you say it, that could really change how I view that topic. And we have to, there's another one. I'm sorry, I'm going to roll here. Just thought of something else. So now you've got an understanding. You either, A, you share it because you're totally excited and blow me out of the water.
Right.
B, you share it with me and I'm kind of like put off by it. C, you don't share it at all. I never knew it existed.
Right.
There's another time, and that's when you share it and I go, oh, wow, I never thought of that. So what a blessing it is to hear that other viewpoint, even if I think you're whacked out on it.
Right.
Really? Because later on that may pop, the Spirit may perk something and go, oh, wait a minute. Here's an aspect I didn't even think of. Because maybe I misunderstood what you said.
Right. To what bothers me, I don't want to say bothers me, concerns me, is a better way of saying it. When I hear people say, the Spirit told me.
That's tough.
It is, because now all of a sudden no one can contradict you because it's the Spirit that told you. And everybody says it.
Okay, so have you ever...
Okay,
have you ever stopped? Not everybody.
I'm exaggerating.
Almost. At some point, everybody's probably said that at one point.
At one point.
Oh, the Spirit.
Right.
Have you ever stopped them and said, which Spirit?
Right.
Might be offensive, but it's like, no, seriously. I don't mean to offend you, but, how do you know? Thus saith the Lord. And you didn't preface it. I'm really careful with that. I feel like, I feel like maybe I sense, our brother Rick says, I sense.
Right. Whenever I come up with something new or see something new, I simply say it that way. Guys, I'm seeing something different here. And then I'll always say, wrong or right, I don't know.
Yeah.
Because I don't know. Now if it's something that I'm following, obviously I'm going to say I think it's right. But at the same time, I'm open to being wrong. I'm open to hearing other opinions. And I'll never forget, back in the day when we came to Torah, and I was really kind of interested in the calendar element, And all I did was go to the Jewish calendar. Okay, here it is. Oh, they got it all worked out. And I bought a 200-year book. It's all 200 years of the calendar, Jewish calendar. And I'm all excited about it. And of course, me, I'm all about prophets and the numbers and stuff. And I'm doing this, I'm doing that, and you count these days and all this kind of stuff. And I'll never forget. And I'm going, okay, well, tonight is the first night and all this other kind of stuff, or it's Passover, whatever it was, I forgot. And when the moon should be out, and I go up and going, wait a minute, the moon's not full. It's not even close to full. And it was off by like 3 days, And you can be off on Passover by a day, half a day. It changes, okay? But I'm going, this thing is wrong. I bought 200 years off this thing, and then I got kind of disoriented, discouraged, and then, you believe it?
Disoriented.
Meaning... I felt like no matter what I did, I have zero clue, because now my foundation of the calendar is gone.
Oh, yeah. Shifting sands.
Yeah, exactly. And so I kind of I just gave up on the calendar, and I didn't touch it. In fact, I was intimidated with it. And I would have people talk to me and use all these big words. I'm going, huh? Yeah? Oh. I'm going, oh my goodness gracious, I am totally lost, And it intimidated me. And then it wasn't until about, 5 years ago now, that I started saying, you know what, I got to know what this is. And that's when I started looking at all the different calendars, and I'm hearing people saying this, you got that calendar, you got this calendar. And they all look good, sound good. I liked them. But the more I kept looking into it, that's where I'm at today with this here and there. And But my whole thing was I had to seek the understanding on my own. It couldn't be forced on me. Mm-hmm. There was a timing in my life that no matter what someone said to me, I would not get it. Yeah. I wouldn't. And to be honest with you, I didn't care. I know that sounds bad, but I couldn't get it.
You had to have your donkey moment.
Where it talked to me?
Well, not
on the donkey?
No. I'm talking about Paul, you know?
Oh,
you got to get knocked off your donkey.
Right.
We have to do that to get the scales off our eyes.
Right. And that's what I had to go through. It intimidated me. And now I love talking to calendar. I'll talk to anybody, no matter what they believe. It's not going to, now I can disagree with them and love them just the same. And maybe they'll have something I've never looked at or whatever. Mm-hmm. But it's like, it's not a topic that I am intimidated one iota.
I'm sensing that.
Yeah, and I mean that because I love, it's a topic that I love. When I start seeing things and I'm going, oh my gosh, this is prophecy, you know, and I love it.
In fact, I think you ought to expand on that very soon.
I think I'll try on that.
Okay,
I've been saying it for the last year. I'm going to do
it. You got to do it.
Okay,
so
understanding.
Where are we landing right now? Just in a quick summary before we move forward.
Well, the bottom line is for understanding to move forward, it's you got to have the knowledge and the understanding moving forward in wisdom, but it's a choice. Just because you have knowledge and understanding does not mean you're going to move forth in wisdom. And Solomon is the example of that.
And it isn't just an intellectual pursuit.
Correct.
It's your behavior.
Yes.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Because that shows your understanding.
Right.
As we read.
Right.
You know.
Right. Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So, Timothy. I'm going to go back to Timothy again.
Okay.
Because, you know, we've talked about presentation and how important that is. Because if we keep the understanding to ourselves, well, how does that? We're supposed to fellowship. We're supposed to talk this over.
Mm-hmm.
I might be wrong. And you said it earlier, and it's one of the things I say frequently because I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
But it's in my current understanding. Isn't that a humility statement? Isn't that humility-oriented?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well, I like to think it is. Anyway.
Well, yeah. Because then it can change.
Absolutely. Oh, my goodness gracious. I've changed on so many different things.
Mm-hmm.
And it humbles you.
Mm-hmm.
You know, especially when you make a statement on what you believe and then 1 year later it's different.
Uh-huh.
And then you got to say, I'm sorry, but I don't believe this anymore. Or whatever the type thing is, because now I'm seeing it where I was slightly wrong, you know.
You know, and this is on topic but off, you know, you had to eat crow. Wait, crow's not clean.
It's not clean,
so you had to eat something unclean.
Right.
I never thought of that.
Yeah, that's
I had
true.
to eat crow. Ooh. That means that I should go slow here. I should be considerate. I should use statements that aren't imperatives. You need to. This is coming from the Spirit. You know.
It's clearly this.
Obviously, you're a moron. You know, it almost comes off that way.
Right. It does come off. And they don't intend it to.
No.
The people who I have talked to, I know they don't mean it to sound that way. They just don't understand how it's being received. And now I got to say something. I've heard somebody say before that, well, I told them. It's all on them now. Oh, wait a minute. How did they receive it? Did you even focus on how they were going to receive it? That's on you. Because if you know their background or anything about this or whatever type of, you can't just throw information at somebody and say, now you've been told. Right. How are they going to receive it? That's on you.
Yeah.
You know? So I that bothers me when I hear people say, well, I've told them, blah, whatever. That's arrogance, in my opinion.
Oh, yeah. And that brings up a different aspect of understanding. To make sure that you communicate that in a way that is going to be understood.
Yes. Know your target audience.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, I'm sorry. You're
going
to that.
That's all right. I'm going to that. But
okay.
2 Timothy 2:7.
Okay.
Think over what I say, for the master shall give you understanding into all this. Our master gives us understanding. Like you said earlier, it ain't me.
Right.
And I may not have that understanding yet because he hasn't given it to me, so I have to be humble.
Right.
I really have to be humble and say, well, my current understanding, this is where I'm at. What do you think? And draw people out to provide their understanding currently.
Yes.
And it's not the, and I'm going to use a big term, but a Hegelian dialectic.
Whoa.
Which is, I know.
What?
Yeah, look that up because I may stumble over that. Hegelian dialectic.
Okay.
Which is, you have a thesis. I have an antithesis, And together we talk and come up with synthesis or a new truth. No, we don't come up with a new truth. We're understanding.
The truth.
The truth,
Mm-hmm.
right. It's us trying to get to the truth, not
Right.
creating a truth.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's what I see here is that the Master gives us understanding.
Amen.
So as part of understanding, would you say prayer?
What's a start? Because I think it's, well, okay, and I had a discussion with this with somebody the other day.
Did you?
And well, not this particular topic, but about prayer. You know, and prayer is good, needed, depending on the topic of the prayer. If your prayer is only give me this, give me that, I want this, I need that.
Yeah.
No. I'm sorry, that's a one-sided conversation. Prayer is it's a two-way conversation. It's where you shut up and let him talk to you sometimes too.
Yeah.
And sometimes we're so focused on it, well, we have to do all the talking. No, you need to talk and be honest, and I mean honest, and then be quiet and listen for him. He may not ever say a word to you, but one day he might.
Let's see if I can go where my brain wants to take me right now. Yeah, we have a hard time with boredom. We talked about that earlier.
True.
We have a hard time with silence.
Mm-hmm.
Why is that? Why are we so uncomfortable with silence? And that's between people, but now with God.
Yeah.
You know, we're talking to Yah. Yeah, you're right. It's like a stream of words coming out. And where's that meditation, that Selah, that, okay, take a breath here, dude.
Right. Right.
Or
well,
do that.
we live in a very busy society.
Oh, you use that four-letter word that I so despise. We don't use the B word.
The B word. But it's true. And we get caught up in it.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
and we all have. Now, not everybody, right now maybe, but we've all been there at one point or another. If you live in the society that we live in anyway, okay. And I've even found people who are homesteading and out in the middle of nowhere, they can do the same thing because they got their to-do list. Got to get this done. You know, I got to get this. Got to get this. I got a schedule. A schedule that we make. Okay.
Exactly.
You know? And so it's like we need to realize that it doesn't matter where you are. We can be guilty of putting ourselves under a tight schedule that doesn't need to be there. You know, and we don't give him enough time, I think.
Yeah.
And I think that doesn't matter who we are. We all fall prey to that trap. You know. What do you got?
A different direction here.
Okay.
Slightly.
Okay.
Daniel.
Oh, okay.
And I don't know if you like anything in Daniel.
Nah, he's a boring guy.
434. Daniel
okay.
434.
Go for it.
And at the end of these days, I, Nebuchadnezzar, lifted my eyes to the heavens, and my understanding returned to me.
Yeah.
What? Nebuchadnezzar?
When he lifted his
he's
eyes
not one
up.
of us. He lifted his eyes up, and I blessed the Most High and praised and made him great who lives forever, whose rule is an everlasting rule, and his reign is from generation to generation.
Cool.
Really cool stuff. Okay, so who does he give understanding to? Well, you know, Steve, I accepted the Lord when I was 2. And when I was 2.5, I knew Torah was right.
Right,
So
right.
therefore, he's talking to me. Hey, Nebuchadnezzar.
Right. Here's a guy who was eating grass.
Yep, and it probably didn't taste so good because now he's at the point going, thank you, Father, a Big Mac.
Right.
Or whatever.
Big Mac.
Yeah. No, that doesn't taste good either.
I don't
Sorry.
Yeah, I do McDonald's, sorry.
Well, he was Nebuchadnezzar. He wasn't one of the Hebrews.
Right. Okay. That's funny.
So, you know, who gets understanding? He gives understanding to
Who he
a
wants to
donkey,
give.
right? Balaam and Block.
Mm-hmm.
Why wasn't he surprised that the donkey talked to him? It's a different topic, but
Yeah. It's funny. I thought that the other day. Well, the thing is, back to the point.
thank
He
you.
gives the understanding to the humble. There's an element that I think is missing in the body of Messiah today, and that's humility. And we are all about knowledge, like you mentioned earlier, and which is so odd because we say that's a great thing, but yet here we are trying to be following the Hebrew way, trying to influence it by way of the Greek mentality.
Hard
knowledge.
to shed that, isn't it?
It is. And I understand it because we want to know, we want to learn, but the humility element is missing in a lot of things, and we've all been there. But I think the the older I get, and I'm only 52, but I just look at my life, I'm going, I am just the stupidest man I've ever met in my entire life. Because the phrase, the more you learn, the more you realize how stupid you are.
Mm-hmm.
And that should humble us.
Yeah.
But it doesn't. Mm-hmm. And that concerns me with a lot of different things. And back to the point, though, understanding. If we want his understanding, we've got to approach him with a humble heart. Come to him, because he's the one who gives all knowledge rests with him. That means understanding rests with him. And that's one of my biggest prayers. I don't want to just have knowledge. I want to have the understanding of all the dynamics of it, of how it works together, and then so I can present it to others. That's always been my prayers. I want to be a help for the body of Messiah.
So you can be wise.
Yeah.
Well, use the wisdom. And that's not self-wisdom. That's from him. Well, I think that's a good thing.
My goal has always been, Father, whatever you give me, I have to be able to, I want to present it for others. Mm-hmm. Wrong or right, help me to present it, and let them decipher. Because maybe I have a teaching that, let's say 20 minutes long, or maybe only 2 minutes of it is really from him. Okay. My prayer is that they will latch on to that 2 minutes and that they're going to get it. You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
Reminds me of, 1 Peter 3:15, always be prepared to give an answer for the hope that you have.
Yeah.
And do this in gentleness and respect.
Yes.
We kind of forget those last two, don't we?
Yeah.
For various reasons, as we've
already described. We like to do it in pride and arrogance more than anything.
Right. But we are confusing, and there are people that are much greater in understanding. Maybe like even this guy that had all of the Torah memorized. The whole thing. This guy,
who?
Shaul? Paul?
Oh, Paul.
Studied under Gamaliel?
Yeah, right.
And what's Peter say in 2 Peter 3:16? And I'm just, rather than read from the previous verse, and also in all letters, speaking in them concerning these matters in which some are hard to understand. He's talking about Paul here. I jumped into the middle of it there. But, yeah, Paul's hard to understand. Why? He's got a lot of intellect. He's got a lot of stuff going on there. Maybe we aren't to that level. And it goes back to what you're saying about know your audience. If I'm talking to my 7-year-old grandson, it better be different than I'm talking to you or a 90-year-old guy that's been in this all his life.
Right. Yep, agreed.
And in humility. Because what am I going to tell him? The other day on Shabbat, this young man that had come out of the Muslim faith, and neat witness, very interesting story. And I was talking to a gentleman that, I'm going to guess, was in his mid-70s.
Okay.
And we're having kind of a calm conversation back and forth. And this excited, wonderful, absolutely lovable young man hears something that triggers him, and he's off. And he was so excited. And I looked over at Harold at one point, and he had a knowing look on his face like, yeah, I was there once.
Yeah,
I get it.
Yeah.
And we let him have his, 5 minutes, and then we went back to the conversation. And it was neat to see. We weren't offended.
Right.
We just knew he was so passionate because he just found this, and it's just amazing.
Right.
Oh,
I love it.
It was so cool. Yeah.
That's great. I got one more verse I want to read.
All right.
It's Deuteronomy 4:6.
Okay.
Talking about the Torah. Observe them carefully, for this will show your wisdom and understanding to the nations, who will hear about these decrees and say, surely this great nation is a wise and understanding people. So now I want to bring out here, it's the first few words, observe them carefully.
What's them?
The Torah, the instructions.
The instructions.
Right, okay. But my thing is, he didn't say, teach them to everybody so they will know. Okay. It says, observe them carefully.
Okay.
Okay. This will show your wisdom and understanding. So there's an understanding, a need, I think, to whatever the Father has given you, wherever your understanding is today, observe them carefully. If someone disagrees with you, guess what? Continue observing them carefully. Now, I have found that a lot of people will be closed-minded when they hear something different from what they believe. Okay. That, and I mean okay, because obviously then the Father hasn't pricked them to where they need to know, at least to consider a different view at this time. That's something they'll have to grow in at that time. But continue with what the Father's giving you. And But we don't focus on that. We focus on observing them, and let me show you how you need to observe them too. And it goes back to that element. Is like there's not a balance of love, and it's so funny. I will never forget this when we first came to Torah and all this kind of stuff, and people are making fun of the church, saying, "Oh, they're all about love, love, love," type stuff, And I'm going, I'm sorry, if there's one thing the church has got right, it's love.
Love.
And now, do they have a lot of things wrong? Yeah, absolutely, but we do too. But it bothers me when I see people make fun of the church who are trying to pursue with their current understanding.
They're correct.
Okay.
Most of them.
Most of them. Well, the ones that I know. Okay. And why the Father hasn't opened their eyes yet, I don't know. It's on Him. I've done my best, and for those people who I know. But the point is, at least they are trying with what they know. Like I said, people who I know personally. And we need to walk in love. I mean, now I'm going to make a prophetical here thing, but the Church of Philadelphia is called the Church of Brotherly Love. They're the only church who said you won't have to go through these hard times. The other 6 churches, hard times are heading your way. Okay? The Church of Brotherly Love, you'll be cool. There's something to be said about that.
Sure. Well, what Yeshua say when the Pharisees asked him? Like, the Matthew and Mark accounts are different. So in the Mark account, he says the Shema first of all. And it says, love Elohim with all your heart, mind, soul, strength, and love your neighbor as yourself. Everything hangs on these.
Right.
Right. So that he starts off with love as well.
Right.
Because the Shema is love. It's about our Elohim. It's about our Yahweh.
Right.
Our Creator.
Yep.
Hey, that word observe? I kind of like digging in. You probably know that about me. But in Devarim or Deuteronomy 4:6, that's shamar, which is also to guard,
nice.
Keep, observe.
To guard. I like the
Just
guard.
like what we're supposed to do with the Shabbat. He says
Shabbat. To guard
shamar.
it.
Yes, exactly.
Awesome. Well, we're running low on time.
We are.
So,
does that mean end times are coming? Is that what you're saying? Should I do I need to prep more?
Right.
Maybe so.
What kind of understanding do you have?
Stay tuned. Yeah. I understand nothing. So, summary. We gave up kind of a quick summary earlier. Is there anything we need to add to that? Because we've got understanding, which is knowledge, and understanding is wisdom. The understanding part can be presented in wonderful ways, not so wonderful ways, and pretty caustic ways.
Correct.
We walk those things out. That's how we know we have understanding, because it's the word Shema.
By just walking it out.
Yes. Not even using a word.
I have a saying, witness daily, when necessary, use words. It's
Hallelujah.
like, it's just, live it.
Yeah.
People will notice you if you live it. And to me, people want to shout it.
Yeah.
Well,
they're livid, and they don't live it.
Right. Oh, that's good. Right. But out of passion. So it's not out of I'm being mean on purpose. It's out of a passion.
Not. Yeah. There are some of those outliers.
I guess I haven't experienced them, but I've always seen the passion in people, and I've always valued that. In fact, I wish there was more passion in some people, but they don't know how to harness that passion into
direct it, focus
it for where it needs and how. Yeah.
So I don't know if you understand where we are right now. I'm working on it. Or if any of you out there, that this was edifying in any way, that it helped you out. I hope it did.
Amen.
And I hope Yah used us, even if it was that one word or that one thought, as you mentioned about teachings earlier. So, I think we've about covered it for now.
Amen. All right. Until next time, Shalom.